All right. Welcome, everyone. We have some more people joining us. Welcome to Be More Bud Talk with Paulette, Simone, and special guest. We're just gonna wait for a quick second to have a couple more people join us before we get started. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. All right, I'm thinking maybe another minute or so just to get people to join us. I don't want anyone to miss us. This is our first Be More Bud Talk. So we want everyone to get the information and to join us. Wonderful. All right. Okay, I think I have a couple more people in the waiting room and they're coming on in. Welcome to Be More Bud Talk if you're tuning in Facebook or on Zoom. I'm Paulette Simone. We'll have some introductions shortly. Just want to make sure everyone is on. Perfect. So ladies and gentlemen, I think we should go ahead and get started. So welcome to Be More Bud Talk with Paulette Simone. I'm licensed clinical social worker. I'm also a cannabis wellness specialist. And I want to welcome you all to the first ever Be More Bud Talk. We are here tonight to talk about all things cannabis sativa. Medical cannabis sativa, that is. Before I delve into the plant and the wonderful makings and the things that it can do, I first want to introduce myself to my audience. So, who am I? Like I mentioned, Paulette Simone. I am a clinical therapist. I am also a cannabis wellness specialist. I work here in Baltimore, Maryland, hence Be More. And I work here at a dispensary in Baltimore, Maryland. I am a bud tender. I'm a patient advocate. I'm also a patient, medical cannabis patient. And I'm also a person who just loves to talk about cannabis and loves to learn about it. And so for me, this is something that is from my heart. I'm introducing this to all of you because it is special to me. And so how better than to widen your community than to let people know what you've learned and to share that out. So today I'm joined by two very special guests. I have Melinda Toussaint with me from Marie Cares, and I also have Fleesie Hubbard with me from 510 Wellness. They're going to talk to us today about medical cannabis treatment. I want to delve straight into what medical cannabis is. If we could just start there, medical cannabis, where would we start if we didn't know exactly what it was? So Fleesie, if I can bring you in, first tell us, if I don't mind, tell us what brought you into this world. What brought you into the cannabis industry?
Allow me to unmute myself.
There you go.
Thanks, Paulette. So thank you, Paulette, for having me on your inaugural Be More Bud Talks. I'm honored to be here, and thanks for the invitation. So my background primarily is in healthcare. So I was a research specialist for about 15 years. I worked at University of Maryland and Johns Hopkins University, and I worked with patients, not as a physician or nurse. I want to go ahead and give you a disclaimer. I am not a medical provider. Ms. Toussaint is our medical provider on this panel, but I worked very closely with cancer patients. And when Maryland's medical medical cannabis program first started, I started to see a lot of people interested in incorporating medical cannabis in their healthcare regimen, but there was really no liaison between dispensaries, patients, and physicians. So I started off just talking with my patients about how medical cannabis may be valuable to them. I worked with them with their physician, with their family, and helped them navigate products in dispensaries. And then from there, I also started working with dispensaries, and I worked with dispensaries here in Maryland as they got started. I had the opportunity to live in California for 2 years, so I worked in California for quite some time, and I've also worked in Louisiana and other states. So I really am a liaison in patient education. I also help advance clinical research, and I build community partnerships. So things like Be More Bud Talks, where you can work with the community, physicians, and other industry stakeholders.
Wonderful. And the reason why I wanted to have you here with us today to start off the conversation talking about medical cannabis is because you do education. That is something that 510 Wellness specializes in. Tell us a little bit about, I want to just go right in because, you know how much I love to talk about medical cannabis, and I know that's what people are signed up for. They want to hear about the plant and how it really connects to our bodies. And so if you could just tell us, what is medical cannabis? Give us just an understanding of that, and if you could, in a broad stroke.
So a very broad stroke. I don't know who in the audience is already consuming cannabis or who's brand new to cannabis, but I think all of us are familiar in some sense of what cannabis is. Medical cannabis in this sense, in Maryland specifically, we have a Maryland medical cannabis program through which you get certified, which Ms. Toussaint is going to talk about. And you can visit a dispensary legally, and you can legally consume cannabis. You can legally carry cannabis, and you can use it to incorporate in your wellness regimen. I am not a strong I'll go ahead and put this out here. I am not a heavy cannabis user. My personal experience in cannabis has been that I've used it for medical purposes versus recreational purposes. I think that it's totally fine to use it for recreational purposes, but I think for patients that are looking for something that's holistic and integrative, and maybe to decrease the amount of pharmaceuticals that you're taking or enhance your wellness overall, medical cannabis is a great opportunity to do that. So I don't know, Paulette, if you want me to talk about the components of cannabis, cannabinoids and terpenes.
Yes. So one thing that I found in my comings and goings as a bud tender, as also as a clinician, people want to know, they understand that cannabis or marijuana, weed makes you feel good, right? And they do understand, some people understand that it helps with pain. But tell us why our bodies are made to feel good. Why do we feel good when cannabis is introduced into our systems?
Sure. So again, not a medical doctor, but I would encourage everybody that's watching to look up your endocannabinoid system. So your endocannabinoid system, ECS for short, is a system in your body that helps regulate homeostasis. It helps you maintain your balance in all kinds of ways. So the way that cannabis works is that it connects with your endocannabinoid system. And you mentioned the feeling of euphoria. A lot of people think about THC. THC is the cannabinoid that we think about when you think about being high. It's the psychoactive cannabinoid that makes you feel that high. There's other cannabinoids in cannabis that are also psychoactive. There's kind of a misconception that CBD is not psychoactive. It is in fact psychoactive, but it doesn't make you feel that high and euphoria that THC makes you feel, or paranoia in some cases. So THC is very, very good for pain management. So usually when I'm working with people on pain management, I really do recommend that you try THC. Even if you use low doses or microdose, introducing THC into your regimen, if it doesn't interfere with other things that you're on and you get your medical professionals okay on that, I think that THC is really valuable in helping with pain management. It's also very good in increasing appetite. So patients that are having trouble with appetite or, chemotherapy is decreasing appetite or making you nauseous, THC can be very helpful with that. It's also a significant pain reliever. So one of the major reasons that people use cannabis products is for chronic pain. That's the #1 reason across the country that patients move to medical cannabis. So THC is an excellent pain reliever. And then CBD, we hear a lot about CBD. CBD can increase your appetite. It can reduce anxiety.
Whoops, it looks like...
Oh, are you there?
I am here. Are you there?
I'm here. Did you lose me for a second?
I did lose you for a second.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's my internet.
That's okay. That's okay. We are online, so this is recorded. So
the thing that happens. So did you get THC and CBD?
That's right. That's right. We got THC. We got CBD.
Okay.
So,
one of the other cannabinoids I really wanted to mention is CBN. So people that have trouble sleeping, CBN is one of the lesser known cannabinoids that can really help with sleep. And used in conjunction with THC, that's a really nice way to fall asleep and stay asleep. So one of the things that I really like about working with medical cannabis is that it really is personalized medicine. You really can make cannabis work for you. It takes a little trial and error. You might get too high a few times. You might overindulge a few times. But the beautiful thing about cannabis is that there have been 0 deaths from cannabis. So the worst that's going to happen to you is you're going to get too high, or you're going to get too hungry, or you're going to get too tired.
Right.
So if you're able to find a nice balance of cannabinoids and terpenes that work well for you, if you find what people call a strain, the proper name for that is cultivar, but if you find a strain that really works for you, it's a really nice way to complement your current healthcare regimen, again, under the direction of a physician or Miss Toussaint. But it's a really nice way to have some complementary and holistic health in your regular regimen.
And thank you for getting us started there. I know I tossed you right out there, Fleesie, and, just to let my audience know personally, I know Fleesie very well. We've worked together in the past on several different projects, always available and always has good knowledge to share. My cannabis journey began the medical side with a talk that Fleesie Hubbard did with 510 Wellness. She gave me the opportunity to hear how cannabis that I was using in an unmedicated way, in the past, of course, but how the medical cannabis could really help my own illness. And so that's why I'm bringing Fleesie to the table. And when I introduce Melinda as well, I will also bring you to the personalized message here. But Fleesie, I want to thank you for just being able to jump out there and give us that information. Sure. So, people, so we heard THC, right? We heard CBD, we heard endocannabinoid, lock and key. I have Melinda online with me from Marie Cares. You know Melinda as well. She is a nurse practitioner, right? A cannabis wellness specialist. And so, Melinda, you are talking to patients and you're doing the recommendations, right? So talk to the audience, and just so you know, audience, we will circle back around to get your questions. So we will be there for you. But I want Melinda, if you could, to tell us about what you're seeing when patients come to you and how you are talking about using cannabis in your health regimen, medical cannabis.
Okay. Well, first, I'll formally introduce myself. I'm Melinda Toussaint with the Mary Care Wellness. I'm here in my office this evening as I join each of you. So I'm a family nurse practitioner by trade, able to treat anyone from the very young to the very old, so pediatric to the elderly. But in the recent years, through experience as I moved on from conventional medicine to wellness as a holistic health practitioner, I got introduced to cannabis. And as far as with my patient load, most of my patients, the top complaints that they are experiencing are pain, anxiety, stress, depression, and insomnia. So usually either my patients are coming to me with one or all of those issues and more. So I help review their health history and find out, based off cannabis properties like the cannabinoids and terpenes, I educate them how specifically how to pick out the products that works best for them. Sometimes people, say, I use it recreationally, I felt good. I use it medicinally, I felt good. Really, the only difference between using cannabis recreationally and medicinally is your intention. Because, for instance, if you're getting recreationally, you're like, hey, I'm able to think better, I have more energy, I'm more creative, I could sleep better and all. But when you use it medicinally, you have the product in hand. And the great thing is about being a resident in Maryland and being a part of their cannabis program is that the dispensaries, they label their products. So here are a couple of labels. So just like how we should read our labels on our food, you should read your labels on your cannabis products, because both cannabinoids, the cannabinoids are the THC, CBD, CBN, CBG, THCA, and so forth. All those three, the 4-letter acronyms in between, they all have a therapeutic property to continue to create balance and stability or homeostasis within our system. And then there's something called terpenes. Terpenes are what give cannabis its taste, its smell, and also have a list of therapeutic properties. Sometimes people prefer, like, oh, I'm a sativa person, or indica, or sativa hybrid, indica hybrid, all of that. So with that, I tell them, having sativa or indica, that is just like the steering wheel. But really, terpenes are going to drive how you want to feel, like uplifted, balanced, or relaxed. So terpenes have its therapeutic properties. Just like when you smell lavender, it's naturally relaxing. Or if you smell citrus, it's like uplifting and energizing. That is the role that terpenes play in cannabis. So I love to educate my patients on how to properly pick out their products based off their conditions and all of that. So, so that is something that people could utilize to help provide relief of all any type of condition, because again, using cannabis is trial and error. Like if you're more stressed or more active, you might realize you need to dose a little more that day, rather than days you're less stressed and less active. You're going to realize your body's not really craving as much of a cannabis product that day.
Wonderful. Thank you for bringing that to us. And thank you for bringing your, introducing yourself as well. I said to my audience that I would make my personal connection to you, but you have allowed me to utilize the plant here in Maryland as a medical cannabis patient. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that Melinda does and other providers, and we'll talk about the process of getting your medical card, whether it's Maryland, Virginia, and DC, is help you to look at your medical records and discuss what it is that you've been treating and perhaps what medical cannabis can help you with. And so for me, we had that conversation. Obviously, it was confidential, but you were able to help me and to help me look into which cannabinoids and which products would be supportive of my own illness. Let me ask you this. When people, when you hear CBD, THC, people wanting to do one-to-ones or using those two cannabinoids, what can you tell, what's the difference between the two?
So usually when people are referring 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 and so forth, that is the ratio between CBD and THC. So when they say 1-to-1, let's say you have a product, and I have a product right here. So I'm not endorsing any of these products, okay? So these are empty boxes. But anyway, so as you can see, this is a Synergy tablet. It has 100 milligrams of CBD and 100 milligrams of THC in this entire container, not per serving. Just want to make that clear. So this is a product, it's 1-to-1 because it has equivalent amounts. You remember in school when we were learning, you know, mathematics, algebra, you're like, I'm never going to use this, so why am I learning? Now this is the time to do your math of you know, division. So it's equivalent parts of CBD and THC. Now, let's say if it was 200 milligrams of CBD and 100 milligrams of THC, I would say this product is 2-to-1 because it has 2 times more of CBD than THC. A lot of misconceptions, you know, people have, like when getting products, when they see this total amount of 100, you know, milligrams, I'm just using this for example, is that every time they take, this is a tablet. Every time you take a tablet, it's 100 milligrams of, you know, this, but it's not. You have to do your math. So go, how many is in a box? There's 20. So you do 100 divided by 20. So you're getting about 5 milligrams per serving of CBD and THC. So this is a quick way to read your label. And some of them, they do tell you, like probably on back when you're reading, it's like, so per serving, you're getting 5 milligrams of both CBD and THC. So that is another way of reading your products and making sure you're dosing appropriately.
If I could, I was muted there. If I could bring in Fleesie, if I could bring you in, thank you, Melinda. I want to circle back to you when we talk a little bit about how you go about getting your medical card, because I know you are the one-stop shop in that direction, in that regard. So I'll come right back to you. Fleesie, if you could just explain, and I know that you gave us some understanding, explain the difference and help people when it comes to medical cannabis, and being able to access THC products at a dispensary, or in the fact that people are getting CBD and it's not medical cannabis, it's not medical.
Sure. So the value in paying to get your medical card and why you would want to go to a dispensary.
Yeah.
So I hear that a lot, and I'm sure that you two also do. You know, well, I have a plug, or I know a guy. And the value really of getting legal medical cannabis is that it's third-party tested. All of the cannabis products in any state that has a legal medical program all has to go through third-party testing, which means that from seed to sale, from where the initial seed of cannabis is grown all the way until it gets into the box that, for example, Ms. Toussaint just shared, it's tracked, and it is also tested before it gets to that box. So while, you know, you might have an opportunity to pay a little bit less for cannabis from the street, you have no idea what's in it. There's pesticides in it. There's, you know, we recently had this huge fentanyl issue in Maryland. So the safety really is the #1 reason to consider getting cannabis from a dispensary. Also, just that you're able to know the cannabinoid and terpene profile. So the cannabinoid profile is very important. You can get cannabis that's high THC. If you want something that has more THC value, you can get something that's, you know, like a 1-to-1 CBD to THC. You can get something with more CBD that doesn't really make you feel that high, but does give you the value of the cannabis. And then also you have a variety of other products. So beyond just flower, which is the cannabis, there's inhaled products, there's ingestible products, there's products that you can rub on your skin. So we've got I think in Maryland, we've got topicals, tinctures, some form of edibles. So there's a variety of different delivery methods, which is really nice for people that, for instance, don't want to smoke or would just like to try something else. For arthritis, for example, a lot of topicals are very helpful. And having the opportunity to be a medical cannabis patient, you'll have the opportunity to go into a dispensary and select those products. And Paulette, I have to give you a plug. One of the things that you offer, a service that you offer, is a cannabis concierge service. And it can be very, very overwhelming for a person that just starts off using cannabis to walk into a dispensary. So you're basically walking into a pharmacy of cannabis products. And it can be very overwhelming to decide what product is appropriate for you. Reading the product labels is very important and having an understanding of that. So I really encourage your viewers to consider working with someone like Paulette probably, to really just walk you through that process and select products that are appropriate for you.
Thank you for the plug. Appreciate that. And I didn't really speak to exactly what it is that I do. And I figured like I said, I just wanted to jump right out there and get my guest a chance to share, because the feedback that I got when I decided to do this Be More Bud Talk was that people really just want to know more about medical cannabis and why and how it works, And so just to give you what I actually do, I do a concierge service where I walk people through the process of getting their medical card. I get their help and talk to them about what is their interest in medical cannabis. Why are they interested in it? And then I link them to someone like Melinda, who is going to look at the medical side of things, because I'm not a medical, I'm not a doctor, but I am a master's student in medical cannabis program, actually the first medical cannabis program here in Maryland, or in the United States. And so that gives me some understanding, but I feel that it's important and it's going to be important for in the process to go straight to a recommender, somebody who can talk to you about that medical side, right? And so soon as you go from there, we'll talk about terpenes, we talk about cannabinoids, we talk about all these different wonderful parts of the plant. But when you get to me, I want you to have had a time to sit at a Be More Bud Talk, right? So that's why we're here today. So, as we look a little ahead to the process. So we have the THC, we understand that. We understand CBD. We understand that our bodies have a kind of a lock and key system, and cannabis has the profile in cannabis has a profile in our bodies that kind of locks together. And so we understand that medical cannabis is much like recreational, and we know that sometimes it has to do really with how you feel about it when you start to consume. So let's talk a little bit about how you go about getting the medical cannabis card. Melinda, can you talk to me and talk to the audience about how one goes about getting their card in Maryland, Virginia, and DC?
Certainly. So the process are similar, but yet a little different. So I'm believing most of our audience is in the Maryland area, so I'll start with that. So we have a commission called Maryland Medical Cannabis Commission. And so all of the process are a two-step process. So first, a patient, if you're considering using cannabis as medicine, log on to mmcc.maryland, spelled out, .gov. That is Maryland Medical Cannabis Commission. And there you will see like a set of blue boxes. In the upper left-hand corner, there's a blue box that says log in and create an account. And then so you'll click that, it'll redirect you to a screen to create an account as a patient. It's pretty straightforward. If you could create an account on Amazon, you could create an account under MMCC. And then what you'll need to have in hand is a government issue ID, such as a driver's license. Also know your last four of your social security number. have a valid email, and have a white wall, because you're going to need to take a selfie of yourself as your ID picture. And then you proceed with filling out your information, username, password, name, address, phone number. Take a picture of the front and back of your driver's license. If your driver's license does not match where you currently reside, then you also have to get 2 pieces of mail, like a utility bill, a phone bill, and put them together like this and take a picture of it. But make sure it has the date, which is dated within the last 90 days, your name and your current residence, your current address. And then the other thing you have to do is then take a picture of yourself on a white wall. Top reasons why applications are rejected are the pictures and the address. So make sure you have all of that together when you are completing your Maryland Medical Cannabis Commission application. And then you will be prepared to pay $50. That is for your card, which that $50 will go 3 years for you. So that is another benefit being a part of Maryland compared to the other programs I'm going to tell you about. And once you pay that $50, it will tell you to go into your email and verify your email. And that is when the clock starts ticking of when you're going to receive your MMCC issued number. At this time, it is currently taking about 3.5 to 4 weeks to receive another email from MMCC that is going to generate your MMCC ID number. And an easy way to keep track of where they are on processing, on Maryland Medical Cannabis Commission's main page, under where you click to create your account, they have something, it will say, please be advised, as of today's date, we are processing these applications. So that is an easy way for you to be like, okay, when are they going to process, my application? So when it gets close to when you originally applied, then you should be expecting your number. Okay, so now you have your number. Then you will go to a certified medical cannabis provider that is part of MMCC's program. And then you will take that number along with, having an appointment with them. Now they're allowing not only office appointments, but telemedicine, which is over the phone, like via phone, video conferencing, whatever platform. And so you meet with that medical provider, provide them with your number, and then if approved, hopefully you are, then your number will be activated and you could go to the dispensary that day. So with Maryland, you will have access to any Maryland medical dispensary to purchase your product. Now, you'll have to wait a little while for you to receive your card in the mail, but you still are able to go to the dispensary and make your purchase even without a card, because that number temporarily will give you access. And then once you receive your card in the mail, then you could just use your card. And another benefit with Maryland Medical program is that you could also go to DC and purchase. Yes, so DC is a recreational state. It has reciprocity with Maryland and over like 16 other states. So that just means where DC has reciprocity with those other states, those residents can go to DC dispensary and purchase. However, Maryland didn't reciprocate that. So DC residents cannot go to Maryland or even its neighboring state, Virginia, to purchase. Okay, so that's Maryland's process. So get your number, go to a medical provider, and then get the number activated. Now with DC and Virginia, the process is reversed. So first you will seek a medical cannabis certifying provider. So for DC, you'll get the provider, have a consultation, and when the provider approves you, they will give you an application number. With that application number, you can either go online, because once you receive that application number, DC Department of Health will send you an email with a link for you to create an account and upload your application number. So, and with that, again, all you need is your name, address, phone number, proof of residency with your ID, and also 2 utility bills, phone bill or whatever, to upload to also further serve proof as that is where you reside. And then also, again, take a picture of yourself, and then you will add in the application number and the issuing medical provider's name, full name, and so forth. And then it gets submitted to DC. Then you have to wait for DC to process your application, and then they will send you a link that you can pay. DC costs a little more. It's $100, which you have to pay once every year to keep your card active. However, if you are low income, or let's say you're on Medicare, Medicaid, government insurance, disability, or whatever, they allow you to do it for a reduced fee of $25. But you have to show that proof. And then annually, you'll, instead of paying $100 a year for your card, you'll pay $25 a year. So Maryland is $50 for the card. Once every 3 years, DC is $100, or at the reduced rate of $25 a year. And then now we go to Virginia. So with Virginia, you'll see a certifying registered medical cannabis provider first. They'll provide you with the written certificate. It's a paper certificate. I'm not gonna put it up because I don't want no one to, copy it or whatever, fraud. But anyway, so you'll get a handwritten certificate, which the provider gets to choose how long of the duration. It could be a couple of months, or at the max, it could be 12 months from the date of certification. So, and then you'll take that certification, go on Virginia's Board of Pharmacy's website, and submit your, create an account, all of that, proof of residency, upload a picture of your driver's license, a Virginia driver's license, and then also upload the certification that the issuing medical cannabis provider gave you, and pay $50. And then in about 1 to 2 weeks, you should receive your card in the mail. The other difference between Virginia than from Maryland, DC. Maryland and DC, they allowed you to consume any type of cannabis product. But with Virginia, as of July 1st of this year, they allow any type of cannabis oil, and also you could consume, purchase 10 milligrams of THC at a time, but unlimited time. So that's kind of like the gray area with it. And then again, once a year, you will reapply and pay the $50 annually. So that is a synopsis of all the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. If you choose to want to go through that process, feel free to find a medical provider that is able to issue that to you. Or feel free to contact me, and I'll be more than happy to assist you and walk you through the process.
Perfect. Thank you for breaking that down for us. Let me turn that down. Thank you for breaking that down for us, Melinda. We appreciate that. And what's important to know for our audience, what I'd like for our audience to know is that while the information seemed to be, a little bit like it seemed one step, another step, another step, another step, it really isn't that hard of a process. And the fact that we have access to medical cannabis is really important, and we should really take advantage of that here in Maryland, DC, and Virginia. And I think that I like that you make it such an easy process at your wellness at Marie Care. And what actually we like to do is offer the guests who register for today's event a special offer via your company. And we will be extending that to also to people who are watching because we want to make sure that people get access to medicinal marijuana, medicinal cannabis, right? It is so important. So thank you for breaking that down for us today. I appreciate it and bringing it to my audience. So, I wanted to have today talk about medical cannabis one-on-one because I see people who use the plant so often and there's such a stigma. There's people who use it who say to me, and whisper to me, well, how do I use it to help with depression? Or how do I help to use it with pain management? And they don't want for me to share that information with other people. And I am more than happy to keep that as confidential. But I feel like we all should have access and understanding that it is such a wonderful plant and it has such benefits to it. And we should all know and understand the ways of consumption and so that we can benefit from it. So I am now going to open up the discussion to the audience. I know we have people watching on Facebook. We also have people watching on Zoom. And we have a few questions that are coming in. Ladies, Fleesie, if you wouldn't mind, would you also like to take some questions with me today?
Sure, I'm happy.
All right, perfect. All right, so I have one question coming in right now. So this is something that I hear at the dispensary. How can someone introduce cannabis to their grandparent? Fleesie, what would you say, as an educator, as somebody who goes out and speaks about the plant? How would we introduce this to someone who's probably used weed, marijuana, but really wants to understand and get the best out of it?
Sure. So I actually get that question quite frequently too. I'm sure that Ms. Toussaint does as well. So the rule of thumb, I think, with cannabis is to start low and go slow. So if you're just now starting to use medical cannabis, you want to just use very, very low doses. I'm a huge fan of microdosing. You can use less than 1 milligram of a product and get some value from it. And you should just go up incrementally. So working with your grandparents saying, this is not the weed of the 60s. This is cannabis that's been third-party tested. You can go over the box labels with them and really take some time with educating with them. But just starting low and going slow, I think is really an easy thing to remember, and it helps you not have bad experiences. So you don't want to have a terrible experience the first time and then decide that cannabis is not for you. Whereas if you go slow and I often encourage people to keep a patient diary as well. What products work for you, what products don't work for you, if you like the taste of something but you don't like the taste of something else. Just trying to incrementally move into the use of cannabis. Again, under supervision of your provider. Talk about how it interacts with other medicines that you're on or other herbs that you're on. And just find a good balance. Like I said in the beginning, the beauty of medical cannabis is that it really can be personalized medicine. And really selling that to your grandparent is where I have found the most success. This is something that you have control over. You can reclaim your health and not, just go to a doctor's office and have them prescribe a bunch of pills to you that you're not sure about. There's absolute value in conventional Western medicine. And, I am not saying anything against that, but there's a really great opportunity to really have more holistic and integrative care with cannabis. So I would just say, and introducing it to your grandparents, do it incrementally and follow their progress and help them decide what products work well for them and what products don't.
Thank you, Fleesie. I also get that question at the dispensary, or, to be honest, I get grandparents at the dispensary, who come in, who have heard from a friend of theirs, and, you know, I guide them through the process. And so thank you for being able to, you know, help our audience understand that this is something that it is not our grandparents' cannabis, the medical cannabis, you know, so we want to make sure they understand that. But it's important that they know that this is something that is very beneficial to that generation as well.
Sure.
Perfect.
I think also, Paulette, I'll just add that I think there's a common misconception, and I've seen this, you know, throughout states, Maryland, California, other states, that, you know, dispensaries are full of young people or stoners, and that's very much not the case. Most of the dispensaries, I've probably been in 500 dispensaries across the nation, and I really have seen more elderly and senior patients than young patients. And I think that that's beautiful because they're trying to, you know, reclaim their health and take control of the amount of pharmaceuticals that they're on. And supporting that is really beneficial.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. So I have another question coming in. Let's talk a little bit about pain management. Melinda, if I could bring you in here to talk a little bit about pain management. What are some ways that, and let me say this to the audience as well. This is the first Be More Bud Talk. We will be delving into some other deeper issues. So we will talk about specifics like edibles and tinctures and ways to consume. We will get there. I'm sorry, because I see a lot of questions coming in. But on the broad stroke, since we're talking medical cannabis, just one-on-one, in terms of pain management, what do you think, Melinda, are some ways that people can consume cannabis to help them with pain management?
Okay, so with pain management, I go back down to the cannabinoids and terpenes. So as far as the cannabinoids, what specifically helps with pain are CBD, THC, CBN, and CBG. And then with inflammation, THCA, CBD, CBG, and so forth. So having both CBD and THC will help address the inflammation, because inflammation leads, to pain, and having the THC as well help with the pain relief. So that's why having the one-to-one CBD to THC is pretty effective, because it addresses both pain and inflammation. Another thing, the terpenes. So terpenes like myrcene, linalool, limonene, they also they're relaxing and uplifting terpenes, which further help with pain and inflammation relief. And having a couple of cannabinoids like the THC and CBD, and a couple of different type of terpenes like myrcene, limonene, linalool, they all work synergistically together to get even a greater benefit from the product. So it's good to have like isolate, which is, let's say, CBD only, but nothing else. But what works even better if you have like a full spectrum product, which means it has a lot of different cannabinoids and a lot of different terpenes, because they work synergistically together to get a greater effect. So it's not like 1 + 1 = 2. It's just like 1 + 1 = 4 and all that. So it's great to have a variety of them both to help provide the pain relief. And the great thing also about cannabis, so a lot of time people are used to, I'm taking, let's say, again, with pain, you have to take a narcotic for pain, or an anti-inflammatory pill for pain, and then a muscle relaxant for pain. But with cannabis, the different cannabinoids and terpenes, they have other therapeutic properties. So you might be taking something, hey, I'm taking this for my pain, but then you realize, oh, I feel very happy, I'm not depressed, I'm able to adapt to my stressors better. So those are other, what I call, instead of side effects, which you could get from sort of pharmaceutical medication, you get side benefits. You're helping one issue, but also you realize you receive benefits on other type of health concerns that you have been dealing with.
I love that, side side benefits. Thank you, Melinda. And you know, I'm going to add to that because I also noted in the question that they were asking about whether flour was better or tincture for pain management was better, you know, capsules. And so to just get that person an understanding, when we talk about different ways of consumption, we want to talk also about the ways that it, how how it affects our body, how quickly things take effect in our body. Mm-hmm. So if we're talking about an acute pain, then smoking is going to bring you the most immediate effect of pain relief, or vaping, versus something like an edible or a tincture that's going to take more time to go into your system. So if you have an acute pain or topical, something that you can rub right on to the pain, if it's like in the back or it's localized pain. Even women with cramps and so forth, you can get a topical that you can rub on your stomach, or you know, things like that, or patches and so forth. So people, I know that question came in. When we talk about how we're healing ourselves, we do want to talk about how quickly we want to feel the benefits. And so we do know that smoking, you are going to get the immediate effects. Did you want to add anything to that, Fleesie or Melinda?
Yes, so I make it easy. I just group products into two categories. You know, fast acting or short acting, and also long acting. So if you want a product to work very quickly, you either want to inhale it or apply it topically on the skin. So that's smoking, vaping, topicals such as cream, patches, lotions, salves, and so forth. On average, it takes about a couple seconds to minutes for you to start to feel the relief. However, the duration on average is short. It's about 2 to 4 hours, closer to 1 to 2 if you're smoking or vaping, and closer to like 3 to 4 hours if you're using a topical, unless it says like extended relief or something like that. So just know if you use those methods that work very quickly, it's also gonna exit your body pretty quickly. So know you have to continue on dosing throughout the day. However, if you're looking for something to give you a longer duration of relief, which I call long-acting product, you want to ingest it. So that is oils, tinctures, tablets, gummies, edibles, soft gels, infused beverages, and so forth. On average, it takes about 30 minutes for you to start to feel a difference, but it could even take up to 3 hours. So before you take another dose, please wait about 1 to 2 hours, because right when people say, oh, I don't feel it, and they took it, they're like, oh my gosh, I feel it, I'm high, and then they get paranoid and all worked up. So wait, 30 minutes, and even as long as up to 3 hours for you to fully evaluate how it's affecting you, because you're gonna take a long trip, a road that you didn't sign up for. So with those methods of ingestion, the duration is much longer. On average, it's 6 to 12 hours, more or less, depending on how much you consume. Like if you microdosed or took a real large dose. But if you ever feel like you are too high, which most of us who ever had an edible, we have our own personal story or experience.
Yes.
First, take a deep breath and try to relax and not be up in your head about it. Another thing that you can do is consume a higher dose of CBD, because CBD helps bring down that head high feeling, but you still are getting the therapeutic effect of whatever you ingested. Another thing is black pepper or peppercorns, and as a terpene, it's called beta-caryophyllene, and that helps with mental clarity and focus, and it's a balancing terpene, so you could consume that. So put a couple of granules of black pepper in your mouth and chew that, and even better to ingest it with CBD to help bring that head high down. Also drink a lot of water. If all else fails, just go to sleep. Distract yourself. Don't think much about it. Just as like Fleesie said, you know, if you get too high, it's either you're going to eat too much, you might get a bit paranoid, or you're just going to fall asleep. So just sit down, relax, enjoy the ride if you can, and then just know and rest assured that after it's out of your system, you'll go back to your previous state of health.
Thank you, Melinda. You know, that is so important for people to know. And thank you, because, you know, people don't know about that black pepper, you know, and the peppercorn. So thank you for adding that to the conversation, as well as CBD, and helping to balance that out, you know, and helping to give people, sometimes it will bring, like you said, it'll help to bring the high down so that you're able to kind of come out of that state of, you know, high psychoactivity. So thank you for that. So I think we have time for another question. So let's see what we have here. Let's see. So, is there a difference, I have here, it's a question, is there a difference between hemp CBD and cannabis CBD from the dispensary? Is it safe to buy hemp CBD? Fleesie, I feel like that may be something that you could help us with. And that's important. I want for our listeners to understand, and we only have a little bit time left, but hemp CBD and THC and so forth. Give us an understanding of that if you could.
Sure. So I will give you a quick little overview of it, but I would love to hear Ms. Toussaint's opinion as well. So hemp-derived CBD is perfectly fine. I think that the value of hemp-derived CBD is, number one, for people that don't want to consume any THC. There is a little bit of THC in cannabis-derived CBD products that you get from a dispensary. So I have found that patients that don't, you know, for your job or anything, are not willing to make any, to have any THC at all in your system, hemp-derived CBD products are valuable. The main difference is that CBD from hemp is derived from hemp, and CBD from cannabis is derived from cannabis. I personally feel like CBD derived from cannabis is a much cleaner product in most cases. Hemp, the plant itself, is an industrial product, and there's a lot of metals in the soil that hemp is grown in. So especially, you know, you'll see CBD commercials for everything now. You can get CBD products at your gas station. And a general rule of thumb is if you wouldn't buy any other medical product from the place that you're buying a CBD product, don't buy it there. The same is true with cannabis-derived CBD products. You'll get third-party testing. If it's a hemp-derived product, they have a certificate of analysis that should come with that product. That is third-party testing. So you always want to look for that. And Ms. Toussaint started to talk a little bit about isolate. There's isolate products, there's full spectrum products. So again, you want to work with your physician or your care provider to figure out what types of products will work best for you. And some people really are on medications that you cannot, you don't want any other cannabinoids. So a lot of full spectrum CBD products have other cannabinoids in them. If you only want CBD, an isolate product is perfect for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, and also another main difference, and thank you, Fleesie, with explaining that, is that hemp-derived cannabis products have a higher dose. Hemp-derived is mostly CBD and has less than 0.3% of THC. If you look at the plant, they look fairly similar, but when you test it, the main difference is the low amount of THC in it. Coming from a cannabis plant like Cannabis indica, Cannabis sativa, it has higher amounts of THC, so more than 0.3%. Right now, they're cultivating high doses of THC in the product, and it's actually more expensive and harder to extract CBD from it. So if you're getting CBD products from a dispensary from, you know, Cannabis indica or Cannabis sativa, is probably more costly than if you're getting CBD from hemp, because it's mostly CBD anyway, so it costs less. So when you're picking it at the grocery store, like it's popping up everywhere, like in beauty products, at Moms, at Whole Foods, and all of that, gas stations and stuff. Like I had patients that be like, oh, I purchased, this product online or at the grocery store, but it didn't really do much for me. So I typically ask them to things like what was the dosing on the bottle and how much did you take? Because really for you to start to feel some type of effects, I'm not saying high because CBD doesn't make you feel high. You really want to get the right dosage. So, so per dose, for you to really feel anything as a beginning user, have something that you're having at least, 15 to 20 or really 30 milligrams for you to really start to feel something. And usually what people really feel from CBD is effects on their mood and also of their pain, because it's a great anti-inflammatory and pain reliever, as well as it really helps with stress, anxiety, depression, insomnia, which are conditions that most people have. But for an average user that has chronic conditions, which most people who are seeking a medical cannabis card they have chronic conditions, you really want to start at least 30 to 60 milligrams per dose. So that is a therapeutic dose for you to really start feeling like, oh, I'm able to get up the stairs better. My knees aren't hurting me. Or, I'm not really having much of that back or neck pain anymore. Or, you know what, someone cursed me out today and I didn't curse them back out because I'm just feeling too good and too blessed to be stressed. So that's kind of like how you're going to feel with consuming high CBD products. Really, it goes with your mood and how you adapt to stressors, and also with the anti-inflammatory aspect. Another great caveat with CBD is how it regulates your blood sugar. So sometimes people have said, oh, I have lost weight with CBD, and that is because since it's regulating your blood sugar, you're not feeling those hunger cravings. So if you're consuming cannabis products and you're afraid of having the munchies like take over you and you eat the entire refrigerator, especially during this pandemic when a lot of us is at home and have quick access to Grubhub, Uber Eats, and our refrigerator around the corner from our home office. So consume CBD to help curb that appetite, or even the terpene humulene, which is also an appetite suppressant. So THC and also the terpene myrcene really plays a strong role of increasing your appetite. So again, those are the main difference between hemp-derived CBD products and cannabis, sativa, or indica-derived products. It's the THC count. That's the main thing.
Thank you, Melinda, and thank you, Fleesie, for giving our audience a better understanding of that. And I really wanted to fit that question in because people really talk about the amount of CBD products that are out there, whether it's in the gas stations and Walgreens and these different places, and they don't know if it's okay to use. They don't know if it's okay to buy and purchase, and if so, how to use it. And so I wanted to squeeze that question in because I wanted for people to get an understanding that, we're talking about dosage. We're talking about products that are being tested. And that's why I brought Be More Bud Talk to the landscape. And so this is a great time for me to segue out. We have actually run out of time. I'm so blessed and so thankful that you both joined me today. Fleesie, thank you. And Melinda, thank you for being on the first Be More Bud Talk and being the special guest, talking about medical cannabis 101. You've given us an understanding of THC and CBD and what it is to get your card in Maryland, Virginia, and DC. Fleesie, and just giving us a good starting point for if we want to use the plant as a benefit to our health regimen. And I think that, and I hope that our audience was able to glean some information and they can use that to take back to their provider. Now, everybody, or everyone rather, everyone's practitioner isn't a person who can recommend medical cannabis. So you should bring this information back to your personal health provider. You should ask questions. You should Google. You should do research because it's important that you look for what's going to help you. But today I just wanted to bring to the table some experts so we could talk about it as a family. This is, like I mentioned, the first Be More Bud Talk, but it won't be the last. We're going to delve into some deeper issues, some deeper questions. We'll talk about advocacy, patient advocacy when it comes to medical cannabis. We'll talk about how to consume, whether it's edibles or tinctures, which are drops that go under the tongue, and patches. We can also delve into ways to consume, whether it's smoking, there's people dabbing, there's different ways to consume cannabis, and there's different reasons. I also want to talk to you about mental health and cannabis. There's so much out there. This was just the first, and I believe we'll probably do this again, if you ladies don't mind, because I'm getting feedback right as we speak that people want to hear more about how medical cannabis can be incorporated. So again, I want to thank you both. I would love for you to share your final words and your information so people can get in contact with you. If you registered for today's event, you will get a special gift and you will get the information of our guests, and it will be on Be More Bud Talk with Paulette Simone on Facebook. But Fleesie, if you could just give us some final words and then let us know how we can reach you and get back in touch with you.
Sure. Thank you so much, Paulette, for having me. It's an honor to have been here tonight, and I really applaud your efforts in education in the DMV area. I can be found on online. My website is 510wellness.com. It's FIVETEN, so all spelled out, wellness.com. Instagram at 510wellness. LinkedIn, I'm Fleesie Hubbard. And Paulette can find me if you can't find me in any of those other places. But thank you so much, Paulette, for having this conversation tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you, Fleesie. And Melinda, please help us get back in touch with you. And like I mentioned to our guests, the people who did register will be able to connect with you more in particular because you have some great offerings from Marie Care. But if you could share something with our audience and then also how they can reach you.
Certainly. So Paula and Fleesie, this was a great time, and I'm honored to be a part of this as we empower each other. So again, I'm Melinda Toussaint, a family nurse practitioner. My practice is Mary Care Wellness. So on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, I'm on Marijuana Doctors, Align, Alternative Pain Directory, Yelp, all at Mary Care Wellness. On Twitter, I'm at Ask Mary Care. So feel free to find me at any of those social media platforms, and also Weed Maps as well. And my website is Mary Care Wellness at MARICARE wellness.com. And also my educational and consulting website is mymarycarewellness.com. So feel free to call me. So if you guys do need a consultation, you could call me directly at 240-206-7004 or email me at info, like information, INFO, at marycarewellness.com, all spelled out together. So I look forward to helping you guys be on your pathway to wellness. So anything cannabis or holistic, I'm more than happy to assist you.
Wonderful. Thank you, ladies. And again, I am Paulette Simone. I am your host tonight. I am also a licensed clinical social worker. I'm a licensed therapist. I am also a master's student in the medical cannabis and therapeutics program at the University of Maryland. I will be sharing this knowledge with you as I get it because it's so important. I hope to see you next time. Thank you.